how are you and the team preparing?
Yeah, 2 weeks. It feels like it's been a really long time coming, to be honest. I think you probably remember we had our trials almost a year ago now, probably just over that. And we've been getting together once a month ever since, which is great. There's not a huge amount of opportunity to play box lacrosse competitively over here in the UK. So we've been making the most of our monthly get-togethers. We practice for a few hours and then we play a scrimmage game at the end. So at least, we're getting the kind of bare minimum box lacrosse played. And then away from that, everybody's been working hard. The defence, especially, we've got a good vibe going at the moment. We've got a WhatsApp group. Everyone's kind of sharing what they've been up to in order to prepare, which is good. I think physically we're going to be in a really good place, and now it's just going to be about getting there and getting going. I think we can't wait now.
And how has the pandemic affected the team's preparations for this tournament? You mentioned that it's been kind of like a year since the trials. I don't know. Yeah, what has COVID? What part has that played?
Yeah, it's played a big part. It really impacted us a lot early doors. So the tournament itself was delayed for a year. There's a good chunk of the box squad who are also a part of the field program, and a few boys as well who are involved in GB. And I think, we've got 3 tournaments there that were all delayed 12 months from when they were originally supposed to happen. And, that makes a big difference to where you're at with your preparation. I think when COVID first happened, we were supposed to be like, I don't know, probably about 6 months out from a tournament. So we were really starting to gear up. I know that as part of the field team, the kind of fitness testing was just kicking off and the training was ramping up. And then suddenly you're not doing anything. So add to that the fact that with box, we just started to get our North versus South fixtures to begin to be played regularly. We just had game 1 of what was going to be a 3-game series, and we ended up waiting 8 months or more maybe for game 2 and game 3. So it definitely put a bit of a roadblock in. I think the boys have been pretty good about training on their own. There's obviously been lots of stuff you can do during COVID, sprints wise and running wise. So we kind of gritted our teeth and got through it, I guess.
Good. And you're the captain for the box team. You've been named captain again for the Europeans. How does that feel?
Oh, it's great. It's a real honour, and I loved it in 2019. I did it with Will Walker and Dom as well. So that was fantastic. This year it's 2 new assistant captains. Matt Marsh, who I grew up, he's a bit older than me, but I grew up at the same club as him in Mella. So that's awesome to have us both doing that together. And then Albert Whitehead, who's another Spencer and London Knights guy as well. So I'm really excited for the group of us to do it together. I think we've got a great team. I don't think it's going to take too much from us to do, to be honest. But it's just it's a nice thing, and I feel very lucky.
And what specifically during the tournament? What are your responsibilities as captain? What does that entail?
So as I said, there's three of us kind of sharing that responsibility on the pitch. We've got another 3 leaders in kind of a leadership group, if you like. Dan Watson, Tom Bracegirdle, and Luke Mills are all part of that leadership group with us. It's really what I think it's about is taking a temperature check of the team. What's the feeling at the time? What's on the schedule? What have we got planned? And how do those 2 things match up? And try and be a voice for the team with the coaches and the management, and make sure that we're handling the schedule as well as possible. Basically, I think we've got a pretty special coaching staff. Walt Christensen, the head coach in particular. I think he's the best coach in international box lacrosse, definitely the best coach at the Euros. So I think if we can make his life as easy as possible and communicate with him what's going on with the team, then that's all you can ask for, really, and that's a good job done.
And you mentioned that England are coached by Walt Christensen, who's highly experienced. He was a phenomenal box player in his day. And I'm just wondering what difference that does make to have a head coach with his sort of caliber.
It's huge. I think it's our biggest weapon in our arsenal, to be honest. I think you look at the European lacrosse landscape and look at what happens in field. There's no doubt we've got talented players, but as everybody knows, we don't get to play as much box lacrosse in this country as we need to. So having someone, at the top of the ladder who can apply years of experience to us as we're trying to kind of learn the game as quickly as possible and kind of pick things up to compete with these guys like the Czech Republic and Germany who play in leagues all the time. You can't oversell how important that is, I think. So yeah, I think he's a big part of any success that we'll have will be down to having a really great coach in Walt and actually historically good coaches as well of that caliber.
Now, the last time that England were at a European Championship, it was the inaugural tournament, I think, in 2017, and England finished 5th. It was an England squad that you were part of. But what are England's hopes for this year's competition? And are there any learnings that the team will be taking from that last European competition?
Yeah, definitely. The team's completely transformed in terms of structure since 2017. So 2017 was really tough for all of us who played in that. I think we knew that we had higher expectations than a 5th place finish. Not even to medal in that tournament was really disappointing for us. It's something which has stuck with me for sure, and I know it's stuck with a number of the other players from that tournament, and it's something which we're going to use to drive us forward. I think for this European Championship, going in and being humble first and foremost. So as I've already mentioned, we don't have a league. We're still kind of the new kids on the block in terms of European lacrosse. So definitely going in as bearing that in mind, but then also combining that with the confidence that we have some fantastic players. I think this is the best prepared group of English players I've ever seen from a box lacrosse perspective. We've already talked about the coaching. We know that that's strong. And we've got some great players joining us out there as well with British heritage. The goalie, Cam, is going to be a big part. Tyson Rowe, one of my favourite people to play alongside. All of those guys, I could name all of them. So it's going to be that combination of humility, but then also confidence in our own ability, I think.
And then the last major tournament was the World Championship in 2019. It was pretty successful for England, and England finished 4th. You pushed USA pretty close in the semi-final. How does playing the likes of the USA, Canada, the Haudenosaunee, and the quality that they've got, how does that help England at possibly this European Championship?
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive for us. I know, I'm pretty sure I can speak for everybody who played in that bronze medal game in 2019, that if we could have that game back, we believe that we could and possibly should have done better. The US had a great start, and I think we were a little shell shocked, but we proved to ourselves in the second half that we can hang with those teams and we can actually do well in that situation. I think it's massive getting the experience playing against Canada and the Haudenosaunee as well. And looking around the British and English lacrosse landscape at the moment, looking what the girls have just done and what GB have done as well, I think we need to take something from that in terms of confidence in our ability to just play in these games and not treat those teams like celebrities, people we can beat.
Yeah, and just moving on to sort of the World Games, and there are, I think, three of the England squad that's heading to Hannover. They've been playing for Great Britain, and they've been playing sixes at that competition, which it's not quite box, but it's similar-ish. How can those players use that experience, do you think, to help the England team at the European Championship?
I think it'll be massive. So I think there was 4 of the box team were out there playing for GB. everyone in the box WhatsApp group's been going off the whole time. Everyone's so proud and impressed of what those guys did over in Alabama. If they can bring back the same energy that they played those games with, and the self-belief that they clearly have to be going toe to toe with the US and in those other doing well in those other games as well, then I think it'll be a big boost, and it'll really help the other guys on the box team to see that self-belief that we talked about earlier.
And one of those players, Lyndon Bunio, he played at the World Games and he eventually finished as England's top goal scorer. I think he scored 19 goals across the 5 games. And he was also up there amongst England's top goal scorers at the World Championships in 2019. I'm just wondering how important it is to have someone like Lyndon in the team who can almost guarantee you some goals.
Yeah, it's huge. I think if for anyone who's not watched a lot of box lacrosse, the types of goals that get scored are very different from field lacrosse goals. So for our offensive guys and anyone who's going to be taking lots of shots, it's almost a case of relearning habits to do things differently. Muscle memory that you have in certain types of shots in field is not going to go for you in a box game. So we've always tried to learn from and make guys like Lyndon, guys like Nate Clare, some of these players with British heritage and English heritage who were based out in Canada and learn the basics growing up there. We really try and learn from them. And I think, some of our other players, offensively especially, the likes of Elliot Leonard, who are still young and coming through, playing alongside Lyndon is going to be massive for them. It will really help them improve and bring that back to the domestic leagues.